all you are and all you've done for me. I couldn't thank you enough. My worship could never measure how I feel. So I'll be an offering at the potter's wheel. I give you my life. I offer my best, a sacrifice. Whatever you ask, morning and night, and every hour that shall pass, it's yours to have and hold, to mold and shape. Lord, fill this place. So fill this place. Clay, Lord, fill this place.
So we are doing something tonight that is not scheduled, not on the menu. Don't even know if anybody will join us or be on, but I feel a prompting to do this, and so that's what we are going to do. That's what we are going to do. So, grace and peace to all of you, my father's children. This is Midnight Musing, a prophetic pop-up. For those of you who have known me for any amount of time, you know that from time to time I will post these um, midnight musing. Um, I won't call them rants, but I'll call them declarations. And so something I was on me, and so I wanted to share. So for those of you who are kind of like me, who may be up as we look at going into tomorrow and look at going into um, our day, um, here we are. And so for those who may catch this later or whenever you may catch it, it's totally fine, because this is what I noticed, that there's somebody that will need this. And so that's what we're going to do. Somebody is been wrestling with some things and wrestling with even Sunday. I think for a lot of us, some of our greatest attacks against who we are and what we've been called to do come um, on Sunday night, because we've had these powerful impartations in our Sunday services, and then we get home and we have to wrestle with the reality of what we're facing. And so we go into church and we are absolutely ecstatic and absolutely enamored and absolutely elated. But then we get home and we are dealing with the vicissitudes of life and all of those things. And so Sunday night is often when a lot of us wrestle the most with what we've preached, what we've sung, what we've decreed, what we've declared. And so I don't think it's an accident for those who will encounter this, um, for what I'm saying. So I'm going to do two things. I'm going to give just a short teaching, just a short teaching, and then I'm going to open the floor for whatever God seems to do. All right. So uh, this is what we'll do, and I wanna phrase this from this perspective. Let's go to Jonah. Let's go to Jonah. Let's go to Jonah. Let's go to Jonah. Let's go to Jonah, chapter 1, verses 1 through 3, and let's talk about it. Jonah, chapter 1, verses 1 through 3. Jonah, chapter 1, verses 1 through 3. Now the word of the Lord came to Jonah, the son of Amittai, saying, Arise, go to Nineveh, that great city, and cry out against it, for their wickedness has come up before me. But Jonah arose to flee to Tarshish from the presence of the Lord. He went down to Joppa and found a ship going to Tarshish. So he paid the fare and went down into it to go with them to Tarshish from the presence of the Lord. So many of us, including myself, are dealing and wrestling with where God is calling us to in this particular season, and what God is calling us to, and the people that God is calling us to, and the places that God is calling us to. And it is not because we are rebellious, or it's not because we're stiff necked, or it's not because we are inherently disobedient. We simply do not want to go and do and be where God has called us to go and do and be for a myriad of reasons. There are a lot of different reasons why we don't want to go and do and be where we have been called to. The first thing that I want to let you understand, and what I want to let you know, is that you have been called there. And a lot of times that doesn't necessarily give us comfort, particularly when we don't like the place where we've been called to. But you do understand that the assignment is where God has called you. There are places that are prettier. There are people that are more pristine. There are situations that would be, what's up, D? Hey, D, hang out with me for a second. This is going to bless you. I promise you, all right? Check this out. So many of us, I'm in Jonah 1. So many of us are wrestling with where we have been called to. And not because we are evil, or not because we don't love God, or not because we are in enmity with God, but we simply don't like where we have been called to. And I think one of the things that we have to start admitting, D, is that sometimes, as much as we love God, we hate where he tells us to go. Where he tells us to go is hard. Where he tells us to go is antithetical to what we want to do and where we want to be. Where he calls us to go will cause us stress and aggravation, exacerbation. And so it is often easier, especially in the moment, to hop on a ship and go to Tarshish instead of going to Nineveh. It is easier. Check this out. You got the money to pay for the ticket to go to Tarshish instead of going to Nineveh. Everything within you um, gives you the ability to say, I really don't want to fulfill that particular assignment. Those people are not going to receive me when I get there. Those people know me. I grew up around those people, or I've never been around those people. What do I look like coming into their city, their company, their culture, their country, and trying to tell them what saith the Lord, when there are already people in that community that should be speaking, thus saith the Lord? What do I look like going somewhere where I was not invited, going somewhere where nobody asked me to come? It ain't like somebody hired me to come there. I'm there, and I have the unmitigated gall to say the Lord sent me. And not only did the Lord send me, but he sent me with a word to tell y'all that y'all ain't doing what y'all supposed to do. So, so here you are, and God has assigned you to a place that you don't want to go with a word you don't want to deliver. It would be very easy for us to say, never mind, Lord. It would be very easy for us to say, that's okay. But here's what I want you to know, D, and all 12,000 of you that are listening to me, that where you've been called to, that's where you've been called to. I know that sounds simplistic, but I need you to understand where you've been called to is where you've been called to. Where you've been called to is where you've been called to. That community, you've been called to it. That relationship, you've been called to it. that region, you've been called to it. And not only have you been called to it, but you've been called to it to release what's in you to that particular place. So D, you're not just showing up every week or every month or whatever the frequency is. You're not just showing up simply to be. You've been called there because what's on the inside of you needs to be released to the people that are there in order for the people to understand that they are on the mind of God. So if you don't go, who's going to tell them? If you don't go, who's going to tell them? Okay. Here's what's deep. Most times, and D, I'm getting ready to be 45 this year. You've known me for a significant portion of my life. Here's what I know. Most of the assignments that you have from the Lord, you won't like. You will do them out of the love you have for the Lord. But most of the places that you are called and commissioned to go, you won't necessarily like them because they will not bring notoriety to you. They will actually cost you something. And so what a lot of people say is, well, since this is going to cost me something anyway, why don't I just pay whatever to go be comfortable, to go to a place where I can notice what he says. This is what's interesting about this. In verse 3, it says that Jonah fled to Tarshish from the presence of the Lord. Have you ever there are Jesus, how far are we gonna go? When you are dealing with the presence of the Lord, what he calls us to is often so heavy that you literally feel like you have to get up from under it so that you can't feel the weight of it. And so you will flee. This is what's deep about this. Jonah fleeing to Tarshish ain't really about him going to Tarshish. That ain't really what prophetically, that's not what this is. Exegetically, that's not what this is. What this is really saying is that Jonah wants to get from up under the presence of God so much that he will engage in whatever behavior he believes will separate him from the presence of the Lord. Because we know the Lord is everywhere. So for Jonah to suggest that God wouldn't be in Tarshish is ignorant. Can I bless you? Can I help you? You engaging in behavior that you think is going to keep you from God is ignorant, because no matter what you do and no matter where you go, God is still there. So Jonah was so ignorant of how God worked that he really thought that he could get in a ship that was made by wood that God made, get into a sea that was made by God, ride the waves that move from the current that God established, and then get away from him. Ain't that, ain't that crazy? He, he thought that he was going to be able to get into a ship that was made of wood. Hold on, let me go even further. He thought he was going to be able to get into a ship that was made by a ship's craftsman who had been blessed with the ingenuity to build ships through God by his study, get into the ship, get in a water that God created, ride the current that God causes to move, and then go to a place that God created, and somehow God wasn't going to be there too. So, for many of us who are wrestling with where we've been called, we keep attempting to engage in behaviors and go to locations where we think God isn't. And the reality is that wherever we are, that's where God is. So, you are wasting your time and your money trying to run away from what you've been called to do. 2 more minutes and I'm done. All right. So Jonah gets in this ship. He pays money to go to Tarshish in his attempt to escape the presence of the Lord. The Lord calls him and says, "Hey, I want you to go to Nineveh. Their evil has come up against me. I want you to go and give them this word. Jonah says, I don't want to do that. So I'm going to begin to move antithetical to what God has called me to do. Let me say this to all 12,000 of you. Many of you are moving because you feel the exacerbating push of God. And when God pushes you, you have no choice to move. But since you don't want to go where God is telling you, you are using the energy that God has given you to move into what He wants you to do. And you're using that energy to do other things. But that's the reason why you are seeing futility in what you're doing, because the energy that God has given you, He gave it to you so that you would be able to move in Him. But you're moving in your own strength because you're trying to get to Tarshish. And He says you need to go to Nineveh. So that's why so many of you are so busy, but it's chaotic. You busy, but it's chaotic. There's a cacophony of noise in your life because the energy that God has given you to accomplish getting to Nineveh, you keep using it for other things. Okay? So here's how you know. Here's one way you know that you are in Tarshish instead of Nineveh. When you become comfortable in chaos, it is a sign that you are disconnected from your calling. When everybody else around you can sense that the house is on fire and you're in the house still asleep, that is a sign that your prophetic witness has been dulled. Okay? When everything around you is screaming and you're sleeping, that is typically an indication that your witness has been dulled and you're sleeping. Okay? So here's the revelation. Here it is. Somebody got to go to Nineveh. And for all of you that have been wrestling with going against or going to where God has called you, I want to encourage you when you see this to use that energy to go where you've been called to go. And that's it. All right. We love you with the love of the Lord. I pray that this has blessed you.